overcrowded graveyard, the scream will rise. Ghoul Mates Entertainment presents Not Another Spooky Podcast.
Welcome back to Not Another Spooky Podcast, where we watch horror movies and talk about all the spooky things they make us think about. Think of it as spooky in the front,
horror in the back.
I'm Mandy Spooks.
And I'm Rabbit Loves Horror. We're just two lifelong besties keeping the spook alive together, one bloody popcorn bucket at a time.
But before we get started, wait, there's more! In our listener feedback survey, 100% of you said that you did want to see some special guests occasionally. So we have a very special guest joining us today. Back from the Ghoul Mates graveyard, we have Mr. Spooks.
Hello, Ghosters.
Welcome back.
It's great to be back from the dead.
For any new listeners who may not have caught the Ghoul Mates era of my podcasting days, Mr. Spooks was originally my co-host, and he was known as Master of Ceremonies back in the day. So today we're grave digging into a little bit of zombie chatter, and then we'll review 28 years later in the second half of the episode. To set the vibe for today, we're going to start off with some
Tombstone Trivia.
Since Mr. Spooks is the ghost of honor, we're letting him put me and Rabbit to the zombie test.
All right. I had a lot of ideas and I came to a good one. It's going to be a little different. The question is, what classic zombie film does not feature running zombies? Is it A, City of the Walking Dead, 1983? B, Dawn of the Dead, 2004? C, Zombie, 1978, or D, Return of the Living Dead, 1985?
Do you know?
I know what it is.
So.
I made the question. I'm just kidding.
No, Mandy Spooks, do you think you know?
I think I might know because it might have been part of my homework for the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Well, I for sure know it's not Dawn of the Dead because my brother loves Dawn of the Dead, so I've seen that movie playing in his room as we were growing up, and I know there are some scary running zombies in there.
Right.
And it can't be A because it says Walking Dead, so I'm assuming they're walkers and not runners. So it's either C or D, but I'm going to guess D.
Okay, and Mandy Spooks, what is your answer?
I'm going to guess C.
C. And Mandy Spooks has it correct. Zombie is actually the Italian version of Dawn of the Dead from the 1970s.
Good
Snaps
job.
for Mandy Spooks.
Snaps for Mandy. Mandy Spooks.
I've been prepped.
I think that was really cool.
I promise we did not discuss either because, he was Googling something and he's like, are you going to leave or not? And I was like, what's your deal? He was like, I'm going to do the trivia question. I was like, oh, sorry. I will move now.
No peeking.
No peeking. I saw her too. She's like, oh.
All right, let's get into some
haunted housekeeping.
All right, Ghosters, I guess the cat is out of the bag, so if you haven't seen my video on my Mandy Spooks channel yet, I recently shared that I am unemployed. I still feel so weird saying that, but I also feel so free being able to finally just be me, free of any restrictions or limitations of what having a job could put on me as a creator. So that is the big reason why we were able to start this podcast again. And that being said, in order for me to make this my permanent full-time job and keep Not Another Spooky Podcast going, I do need support. So you can watch the full video with all the details at the link in the show notes below. I tried to be very transparent and share why all these means of support help us and how they support us. But I do want to share that those of you listening to this might find this the most interesting or intriguing, and it is that I am having or starting a new podcast on my Patreon for only $3, and it's called Spooky Soiree. So if you love this show, but you also really miss the original version of this podcast, this is the perfect podcast for you because it's where I'm talking about all of the spooky pop culture movies I used to love and also a lot of my spooky girl lifestyle stuff that doesn't really make sense on this show anymore. So I hope that you're interested and that you'll check it out. So I'll leave all the information in the description below. And of course, thank you so much for any support that you're able to give us.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of jump on that too. I think it's amazing that amazing the fans that you have, Mandy Spooks. I think that, you know, this has been a goal of yours for the longest time, and I think that you are kind of killing it right now. And it's just amazing seeing you do all these things like all day, every day, thinking of different ideas. I love it. And I'm just really, I wanted to say that I'm really proud of you for all the stuff that you've done in the last couple of months. And I want to thank the Ghosters out there for like supporting us. I think that it's really heartwarming to know that we have so many fans that believe in her so much, and I think it's amazing. And I also want to shout out Rabbit. I want to also shout out Rabbit for like being here along for the ride, being like, you know, one of the OGs, ride or dies, and you know, I appreciate all the work you've been putting into. So thank you to everybody.
Oh, thank you. But I also want to jump in and kind of just reiterate what Mr. Spook said, is like just the proud part of it, because in the past 2 weeks or several weeks, you've had 2 live streams, and it's been so cool to just be in there, just kind of just watching people. Because I try not to talk too much just because I want you to have like time with your Ghosters. But just, I don't know, just seeing all the support you have from everybody. And it's just so cool to see it like happening literally in real time in the live conversation. So if you haven't been to one of the live streams, definitely come hang out because it's a lot of fun and it's just really cool to see. So I'm also very proud of you too.
You guys are going to make me cry today. Thank you. No, it was funny because as soon as we joined this call, Rabbit was like, oh my God, all the colors. And I was like, my spooky family is together. So it means a lot to me to have you both on this episode. Coincidentally, this was not planned. But I literally could not do what I do without the help of these two right here. Like seriously, it takes a village, including all of you guys, the Ghoulster Squad, and our little TGM team. So I'm super grateful, and the future is very terrifying for me right now. But I just have been very grounded and like reminding myself, like, I have so much support and love, and I'm just believing and trusting the process right now. All right, I don't want to cry, so we're gonna move on. And as promised, we are turning up the spooky fun in season 2, so we are super excited to introduce a new segment. The Scream Sheet, our weekly breakdown of what has us shrieking with excitement. Okay, Rabbit, do you want to go first or should I go?
Yeah, I can go first. So
okay.
I guess things that have me excited, or the main thing that has me excited right now, is we're kind of like in the middle of all of the Horror Night houses being announced. So I think we have 3. Well, there's several, but I think there's like the, what's it called when it's the licensed houses, I guess you can say, are like slowly coming out. And as of right now, we have Five Nights at Freddy's, which is huge for Horror Nights. That's crazy. The animatronics were there last year, but it was just like a display kind of thing. And it wasn't really a house. It was just to go see the display in display cases. And we also have Fallout, which is interesting. I've never played those games really. My brother used to play them a lot, but I guess there's, I don't know if they're like zombies or aliens. I'm really not sure.
That is really random for a haunt.
But I think it's like a apocalypse kind of game. So
nice.
It has to have some spooky elements to it. And then I think the one that really surprised me is Jason. That's crazy that he gets his own haunt. That's going to be cool.
I'm really bummed out because I want to go see it.
Yeah, I know. I wish you guys can come. But
send me money, please.
Yes.
I have a Venmo. Just kidding.
We have a Patreon.
Send us to go see Jason.
Yeah, Mr. Spooks is about... Sorry about that. Mr. Spooks is about to live his best spooky life because something happened with the Jason licensing, right? And that's why we're starting to get stuff, because for like so many years, Friday the 13th was in a legal battle of who owned it. And that's why I think we're now finally we're finally going to start to see the Jason franchise or Friday the 13th franchise come up with a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like it happens a lot, but some of the IP kind of gets split up into different things. Like that's what happened to like Marvel. So like Spider-Man was with Sony, but then like the rest of Marvel was with Disney. So I think they collectively got it all back together now. So that's why you're going to start to see a lot more Friday the 13th, and he's going to reclaim his rightful place on top of the slasher, I guess, Mount Rushmore.
I wonder if that's
I
a
don't
thing.
know about that.
That'd be cool if somebody made like a Mount Rushmore with all the horror icons, and maybe Chucky be on it.
Yeah, Chucky would be on there. I think so. Oh, I actually wanted to ask Rabbit a question. This just came out today too, but apparently Universal is going to be bringing a horror or a haunted house. I guess it's Horror Nights, but in Chicago. Have you heard about this? So they're building a haunt in Chicago next year, and it's going to be kind of like 13th floor, I guess. But I think they're going to try to expand to different cities, I have a feeling. But I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
That's cool. I have not heard about that. The only thing I've heard about is just the Vegas thing.
Yeah, it's similar to Vegas. So I think it's going to be like what they're doing in Vegas is what they're doing in Chicago. And I also am just like, okay, but are you bringing it to Denver? Because there is a huge horror community here.
I think it'd be a no-brainer to like bring them here.
Yeah, that would be cool for y'all.
Yeah,
to experience just a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, my news was more on the Halloween spooky cute side, but there's not a lot of details on how it's going to work yet, but McDonald's is releasing itty bitty boo buckets, I think is what they're called. They're releasing a line of 21 mini toys in their July 1st Happy Meals. And they're all literally like little tiny things. And I had asked Rabbit if he heard about it because a lot of people are saying it's perfect accessories for a Labubu. But yeah, one of the tiny items, we're only getting one spooky thing, but it is going to be the Jack-o'-lantern boo bucket that's from 2022. So a lot of people are going to go crazy over this, which is hilarious to me. And if I was not on a health journey, I too would be hunting for the baby boo bucket. But I have an alternative for everyone because I feel like now more than ever we need to support small shops. So I do want to recommend shopping Etsy for this item instead of going to McDonald's to try to get it. Because I know that a lot of shops do, and I should have done the research for you guys, but I know they're everywhere. A lot of people do like the little straw toppers of the boo buckets, which are super cute too. And my ghoul at Printy Vibes also has like earrings of them, I think, if I'm correct. So I recommend supporting a spooky shop instead of going and hunting for them at McDonald's.
Yeah, that's smart. Especially, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it more, I feel like McDonald's added to the, I don't know if I call it comfort, but of blind boxes, because you would go to McDonald's as a kid and you get your Happy Meal and you want your toy, and like the main thing you want is your toy, but you didn't know which toy you got.
That's true.
Like it's like part of the culture now. It's like blind boxing.
Yeah.
So I blame McDonald's for that. So yeah, do spooky shops instead.
I feel like the Labubu craze is like crazy right now. And like I think I want one now too. Like it's been
Me too.
It's insane. Did you guys see the video of Katy Perry smacking a Labubu out of a fan's hand?
Yes, I saw that and I didn't understand how to process it.
I was like, what's going on here? Like it's a little toy. Like why I think she's just like kind of upset that like she's splitting up with Orlando Bloom and stuff, which I understand. But
So she took it out on the Labubu?
yeah, why take it out on a Labubu? Maybe it looked like Orlando Bloom, and she's like, yeah.
Maybe it had little elf ears.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
That's a sensitive spot for her.
Leave Katie alone, you guys.
I love Katy Perry, but hitting a Labubu out of someone's hands, it's messed up.
Uncalled for.
Uncalled for.
All right, Ghoulsters, it's time for our favorite chat of the week, Keeping the Spook Alive.
It's alive! It's alive!
All right, Rabbit, how are you keeping the spook alive? You have had, what, like 2 or 3 weeks to keep it up. So what have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks. So I've been still on, or we are still on our paranormal activity journey. So we saw Paranormal Activity 5 and Paranormal Activity 6. I loved Paranormal Activity 5. It's called The Marked Ones, and it has to do with like a Latino community. So like these little kids, like maybe 19, maybe like straight out of high school, find a camera and they start like recording stuff. But it was really good. And then we saw 6, and that one was kind of meh. So, which is weird because I was looking back at all the movies and I saw like all the odd number Paranormal Activity movies are like the good ones. So 1, 3, and 5 are like my top favorites from the whole series, and the other ones are kind of like at the bottom for me.
I didn't know that there was so many. I had no idea that there's so many. I actually never seen Paranormal Activity.
I love them. They're good. Well, except for the even numbered ones.
Gotcha.
There is one more that we have to watch. And that one was pretty recent. It came out in 2021, but it's more it's like, I guess it is found footage, but it's more of like a cult kind of worshiping that demon.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's like haunting them, I guess you can say. But it's okay. The last one. But something else I did that I think you both would be proud of me for is I watched Friday the 13th. Not for the first time. I think I've seen parts of it here and there, but I feel like this is like the first time I watched it in one sitting. Like I sat down and watched the whole thing. And I can see how this was like really exciting for back in the day, because it was a huge twist, because it kind of kept the twist, like, or the reveal of the killer, a secret throughout the whole movie. You're like, what is happening? Who's killing them? And then the end is where he comes out and she's like so distraught. She's like, oh no, what is happening? And then she like flips the switch and just attacks the final girl. So yeah, it was a good time. And yeah, I wanted to watch it so I can start doing my recaps again that I've been doing on YouTube, and I haven't done one in a while.
Nice.
So this is going to be like my one that gets me back into my swing of creating my recaps.
I love those recaps because I always I always see them and I'm like, oh, this is really good. We should do something like this. And then I see who it is. Like, oh, there's Rabbit. He made this. I was like, this is excellent.
We already are.
Yeah, we are doing it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I kind of feel the same here and there. Obviously, I rewatched one and I was like, okay, that was actually kind of funny. Like, I was proud of myself. So yeah, this will be like my first one back into, and I'll try to stick to it and kind of trying to create more often.
That makes me super happy to hear, because you got something. I can officially say consistency matters. It has been life-changing for me, literally.
But yeah, that's how I've been keeping the spook alive. What about you, Maddie?
I have been living my best summer-ween life. It has been a very, very long winter in Colorado, and I just haven't really been able to enjoy my summers the past few years, which was explained in my video. But I made a new spooky bestie list, and so it's been really cool having another content creator friend who just like gets my excitement and joy over it. And we've just been going out and doing so many summerween things, like getting shaved ice and like putting spooky props around it. And even with Mr. Spooks, we've been going to the pool, and it has been so nice because we kind of just like stopped doing that the past couple of years. So I've had a ton of fun doing that, and I have entered my witchy era. So I have been super into the new moon, I guess, cycle. It's gonna run for a whole week, so by the time you guys hear this, it'll already be kind of like coming to an end. But it has been very helpful in helping me heal through like all of the emotions I've been having. So I think I can officially say that Mandy Spooks is a witch.
Yeah, Mandy Spooks was telling me about like the new moon stuff, and I think I was like at work or something. I was like, what is she talking about? And I thought she was talking about the movie, the Twilight movie. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I was just super like confused. I was like, oh, it's the astrology stuff. So yeah, it's been cool. You telling me all the stuff about the stuff that you've been doing, the astrology.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know both of you on this call are skeptics, but I love how everyone is just like, just keep Mandy happy and keep her encouraged and inspired right now. All right, Mr. Spooks, how have you been keeping the spook alive?
I'm mostly just kind of helping out Mandy Spooks with her content whenever I have a chance to, or giving her opportunities to, do more, content. Like I'll try to like help her out like with the dogs more often or whatever, because I want her to like really lean into creating her content and just like continue killing what she's doing. But I also been just kind of when we started watching the horror movies, I started to like get used to watching horror, and I've been kind of slowly like pushing my comfort level with horror. I recently saw it's hard for me to say this title, the Poughkeepsie tapes.
That's
I
right,
recently
Poughkeepsie.
I saw that one, and I've always wanted to see it, but it always kind of like terrified me because serial killers are, real and they're scary. But they did the film was like really awesome, like the way they put it together. It's like a documentary style, so
Yeah.
that was like really cool. We're doing our prep for our short film. I haven't told Mandy Spooks this yet, but I've been kind of coming up with other ideas of other short films that I want to do. And I've been kind of delving into the cosmic horror genre because I love that stuff. So, I've been trying to keep myself busy with like different horror things and trying to help out Mandy Spooks and coming on here. So that's how I've been keeping the spook alive.
That sounds fun. The Poughkeepsie tapes.
See how hard that is to say?
It's a tongue twister. That movie is creepy. But the thing with that movie for me is I confuse it with real life because I think there's something similar that did happen and there's like a true crime documentary about it. But then there's this movie and I get real life events mixed up with this movie.
I get that, yeah. They might have
so
like...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember what's real and what's part of this movie. But I do remember really liking this movie. It was creepy.
Yeah, they might have like taken like from other stories and stuff, but like it wasn't the best horror movie.
Yeah.
Some of the acting was not the best, but but the concept was just really solid, and seeing the killer through the lens of a VHS recorder it was awesome.
Yeah, that it's a fun movie. Well, not fun, but it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what cosmic horror is. What's that?
So it's kind of like Alien is cosmic horror, or Event Horizon, anything that has to do with like space, pretty much. H.P. Lovecraft really made it popular. He's a writer from like the, let's say early 1900s, late 1800s, I think. So yeah, that's what like cosmic horror is, and I think that like space is terrifying, and it has a lot to do with like beings from other dimensions and stuff like that. So anything alien related. But
Got it.
yeah, I've been trying to. It's hard to like read H.P. Lovecraft because I just don't read a lot, and they just speak in a different style of English, so I have to kind of listen and then kind of like, what does that mean, and just figure it out. But it's really, really cool, and it's it has a lot to do with like just like the mind, like the human mind, and like how it's not really prepared to understand things but beyond our Earth and universe and stuff. So it's pretty scary.
Got it. So it's like fourth dimension alien.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Like the
Interesting.
character Cthulhu is really popular, and it's kind of like that's an H.P. Lovecraft character. So I've been, I want to make a movie like based on like cosmic horror.
That sounds fun. I approve. You have my thumbs up.
That's it. What else, Mandy Spooks?
I think that's it. And I think it's time to move on to something new again. So it's time to get into the spooky mood for today's main event of 28 years later. We promised more spooky bestie chats, so get ready for a spooky lesson brought to you by yours truly. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, Ghoulsters, Slash is in session. Since we have our personal in-house expert on zombie movies, which is Mr. Spooks, I thought that it would be interesting to get a quick overview of the history of zombies because I actually don't really know where they originate from. So here we go, a quick little overview. Before zombies were chomping on brains in shopping malls or sprinting through apocalypses, they were something much older and way creepier. The word zombie comes from Haitian voodoo, where a zombie was a corpse reanimated by a sorcerer to do their bidding. So there was no moaning and no munching, just a hollow shell with no will of its own. It wasn't until the 1932 film White Zombie that Hollywood picked up the idea, but it took Night of the Living Dead in 1968 to give us the flesh-eating ghouls we know today. So technically, the zombie walked before it ran. I love how that all came full circle because
good.
that was not planned at all with the trivia.
I like that. That's solid.
So that brings us to today's spooky question of the day, inspired by Rabbit because he kept asking us like such fun, spooky questions at the beginning of the podcast in season 1. So I was like, I think we just need to make that a segment because it was really cool. So I have a few questions. I'm not sure if we'll get through all of them, but my first one, which is the hardest, was if you were reanimated as a zombie under someone's control, who in the horror world would you want to be your Boker and why?
Oh, gosh. It's hard.
I want to answer your question with a question. What is a Boker?
I'm assuming it's the person who would like resurrect you to do, to do their bidding.
What do you think, Rabbit?
Oh gosh, I'm so unprepared. So it has to be like a horror icon, I guess. What you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily an icon, but just someone in the horror realm.
Okay, I think I have an answer. So before this call, I was on Instagram rolling through and it was a meme saying this is the life leftist or the world leftist wants, and it's a bunch of dominatrixes like having like build something. So that just popped into my mind as you asked that question, and I'm like, okay, what if Elvira was like my dominatrix and made me do whatever she wanted? So I'll go with Elvira.
That's a good one. Mr. Spooks is so quiet. Are you like intensely thinking?
Well, I'm thinking. I mean, I already know who my Boker is, and it's Mandy Spooks. She controls me constantly. But I don't know. I think her name is Debbie, and she is the serial killer from Addams Family Values. No, Addams Family 2. I don't know. I think it's Addams Family Values. But it's she is married to Fester, and she keeps trying to kill Fester, but he can't die. So like I would probably pick her because it'd be just funny, her trying to kill me over and over, and I just can't die. But she's hot, so that's another thing too. So that's who I would pick.
I like that answer. That sounds like a really funny movie, actually. Like
I love that movie. It's great.
But just having like somebody she's controlling, and that sounds like a really good movie.
Well, mine would be Tiffany because I feel like she's used to doing like seance and like curse and possession, all of those things. And I feel like she's a girl's girl. So I feel like she would be like, yeah, should be controlling you, but also should be cool about it.
She'll have your back.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say the bride from Universal Studios, from the Haunt.
Why do you bring her up? She owns my heart. I think about her like what is that? Where it's the like she lives rent free in my head. I wish I could have that soundtrack so bad.
Wait, which person?
The one from you were there. You lived it when we went to the bride haunt at HHN. The bride that is like the doctor.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like the orchestra music is like and then it's like in the beginning there was I don't remember the words. Oh my god. No, you don't remember.
I think remember. That needs to be a movie for sure.
Yeah, for real.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it's coming back
Memories.
to me. It's coming back to me.
All right, Goldsters, it's time for the spoiler pack segment of the show. So if you don't want spoilers of 28 years later, this is your warning to turn back now and come hang out with us once you've seen the movie. All right, Rabbit, what popped into theaters this week?
So this week, 28 years later, popped into theaters. It currently has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of certified fresh and an audience rating or popcorn meter rating of 64%. And I'm just going to say that's kind of low if I'm kind of like spoiling my opinion on this movie, but I feel like it's like too low for me. So I know in the past I've done like a short summary and extended summary, and I kind of just combined them into one because I'm kind of just repeating myself. So I'm just going to go with the extended summary. So here we go. So in the film, we are introduced to Spike, a 12-year-old who lives on the secluded island with his father, Jamie, and his sick mother, Isla. Jamie takes Spike out on his first adventure into the mainland, where the infected are quarantined, and he is taught how to kill and survive amongst the infected. Desperate for help, Spike sneaks out his mother to visit a rumored doctor that lives in the mainland. Along the way, they come across a pregnant infected who gives birth to a healthy baby. When they arrive to Dr. Kelson, he diagnoses Isla with cancer, which means he is not able to cure her. He ends her suffering, and her remains are added to the top of the skull monument that he built. Spike returns to the island only to leave the baby with a note explaining the whole situation. Spike then goes out on his own to experience the mainland through his own eyes. So that's kind of the full synopsis, full breakdown of what happens in this movie. Next is going to be the cast. So the director is Danny Boyle, who has done other things, but he's also the OG director of 28 Days Later. We have Spike, who is played by Alfie Williams. I looked at his roles, and it seems like this is his first like main role where he's like kind of like one of the main characters, or he kind of is the main character. Then we have Jamie, who is played by Erin Taylor-Johnson, who is also, which I was surprised, I didn't recognize him, in Craven and Nosferatu. I was like, oh yeah, that is him.
Huh.
In Nosferatu, he's the friend, like the friend, you know how they have like a friend, a couple friend, the husband, it's like the wife that he like
yes.
hangs out with at one point. He's that person. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. And
Is
then
he
we have
Craven?
Isla. Sorry.
Is he Craven?
And he's Craven.
He's
yeah.
Craven.
Interesting.
You know who else he
Okay.
is? He's also Kick-Ass.
Oh, really?
Kick-Ass is all grown up? Oh my god.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I did not know that either. I didn't see that. That's cool. Next we have Isla, who is played by Jodie Comer.
Gonet?
I looked at her second.
Sorry, I
Gonet.
couldn't help it. Jodie Gonet.
I couldn't recognize her in anything, like any movies or shows she was in. I was like, I don't know this movie. I don't know this show. So I'm sorry. And then we have Dr. Kelson, which is played by Ralph Fiennes, which is, I mean, he's known for playing Voldemort in the Harry Potter series.
No
so
way.
That's pretty cool. Go ahead.
He's also a serial killer in, I think it's, so there's another, what's it called? Silence of the Lambs movie.
Oh.
I think it's Red Dragon. I think he's a serial killer in Red Dragon. I think it's called, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah, I looked at his IMDb and he has like a huge
Oh yeah,
filmography,
he's badass.
like over 100. I'm like, dang, this man's done so many things, and I only know him for Voldemort. Shame on me. So I guess we'll get into our initial reactions of the movie. So for me, I really, really enjoyed this movie. But there's like little things here and that I didn't like. But for me, it started off okay. Like I was like into it. And then in the middle, it got really, really good. I was like, I'm totally into this movie. It was so good. And then I think the ending, which we will talk about eventually, was kind of like whiplash for me. And I was like, what the heck just happened?
The Jimmies.
Yeah, the Jimmies came out. But all in all, I really enjoyed this movie.
You want to go, Rudy? Or do you want me to go?
It's up to you. I mean, I thought the film was a masterpiece. I love Danny Boyle since like the beginning. Like he's done The Beach, Trainspotting, Sunshine. The thing I love about him is that all his movies are different, and I think that's why people are kind of giving it a low score, is because they are thinking it's going to be like a traditional like zombie movie like World War Z or Dawn of the Dead. But he's just like, his, directing style is just very different from anything else. And everything that you watch from him is like very different. So when I saw it, it's like, that's just right on par with what he was doing. And, him working with Alex Garland, like those two, like they come up with some fantastic stuff. So I loved it. I think it's one of my favorite zombie movies. When I left the movie theater, I thought it was like number 1 or number 2. But then I calmed down a little bit and I was like, no, it's number 3. So I loved it. It was a masterpiece.
I am going to be the negative Nancy in today's episode because it was good, but since I've had a few days to think about it, I always know whether or not a movie was good based on whether I'm excited to talk about it or not. And there are very few things I have to say about it, which is why I'm so glad Mr. Spooks begged us. Weeks before this movie came out, he was like, I want to be on that episode. And I was like, you got it. So I'm really glad he's here to provide tons of insight, because I'm sure he is going to blow everyone's minds with some of the things he's going to say. But I literally feel like that equivalent of going to school and you're the only kid in the class who didn't read the chapter. That's how I feel, because I don't think I have anything more than 3 big points I want to make on today's show. So that's how I feel about it. It was good, but it didn't leave me excited to talk about it. It left me with more questions than anything.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's what I like about us changing the format of us recording, because it gives us a few days to actually think about it. Because kind of like what Mr. Spook said in the beginning, he saw it, he loved it, and he's like, okay, it's number 1. But then you start thinking about it, and you're like, okay, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So I do like that we're giving ourselves a little bit more time to think about it and compare it to other movies, or just think about things that the movie makes you think about.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess we'll just start getting into it. So the tone and atmosphere of the movie, for me, the tone was just grim, I guess you can say. It started with children getting slaughtered while they were watching Teletubbies, which is so crazy. So I think the movie started off how a lot of people assumed the whole movie was going to be, blood everywhere, zombies running after people, people throwing up and getting infected, super fast paced jump scares and all that. I think that's what people were really expecting going into this movie, but it turned into so much more than that. And I really like that, because it did have those scary elements, but it also was a zombie movie with just a little bit more heart, I guess you can say.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Spooks. It's hard, navigating 3 people in a call, but go ahead.
Yeah, I agree in a lot of Rabbit's points. I kind of felt a little bit different. The beginning was pretty intense and stuff. Do you guys kind of understand whose story that was at the beginning, by chance?
Sort of. So after watching TikToks and seeing people break down their perspective of that movie, the guy at the beginning is the guy at the end.
Yeah.
So kind of bookend of the movie, this happened and then this happened.
So yeah, that part kind of takes place probably when 28 Days Later is happening. Or maybe in the middle of 28 days and 28 weeks later. And we get to see, the bookend, we see Jimmy, and then we see him growing up at the end when you see that crazy ending, and that's where the Jimmys are from. But the rest of the whole movie was just kind of a lot about for me, it was a lot about community and the relationship between a father and a son. And then it's a coming of age story. This kid is going to go out there and he needs to, all the kids there, they all need to go out and hunt, the zombies. So they learn how to kill the zombies and it gets easier for them, how they talked about. But it was just really cool seeing all this, play out. And I felt at the end of it that, it was a quest movie. And I think a lot of people didn't really see that. And when I mean quest movie, I think Lord of the Rings or Never Ending Story, even Shrek. But I think we're going to see this kid kind of go through this adventure with all these different characters. But, I just loved it. It was just awesome. Seeing all these, Danny Boyle just kind of picked and picked like the best parts of different types of stories and molded it into this one like epic, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, that's like a kind of like a quest movie, like Lord of the Rings. I
Yeah.
kind of see that because I feel like that's like this is like the beginning where like we're getting introduced to Frodo.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go on this journey with this kid, and this was like his like little origin story, which I don't think people were expecting to go into because it's like the third movie, and we're getting thrown into like an origin story, I guess you can say. So
and
I'm like really excited.
And I thought it was going to be Kick-Ass's story, and then it pivots to the kid, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then like you meet Ray Fiennes' character, and he's like the Gandalf of the group, and I thought that was so sick. But I saw some stuff that Danny Boyle talked about the film. Like the first one was supposed to be more about like, you know, the community and just like kind of like the beauty that is on the island that because there's not that many humans. You see like the, I think it's like elk or something running or deer running around, just like the horses in 28 Days Later. So I thought it was like really like beautiful, but he also talks about the sequel, The Boneyard. It's going to be like pure evil. So, you know, this was pretty scary. So I don't know what to expect in the second one if it's just about pure evil. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay, hold on. I need to take a beat because you guys totally just confused me. Are you saying that the elf-like guy at the end is the kid from the beginning and that it's not the dad? Because I thought the dad was the kid from the beginning.
No, so I thought that too. So do you remember he gets the cross from his dad that's getting killed by the zombies?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the movie, the older Jimmy is wearing the cross, but it's upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's but like I don't know exactly how it plays in, but like he has like all his like I guess his gang, and like they're all kind of like different characters, and I kind of feel like it's either kind of like a play on the Teletubbies because you know that's what they were seeing when that whole thing happened. It probably stuck with him. But I've also heard that there's like a reference to this one guy. I forgot his name. Hold on, let me see.
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, Jimmy Savile. Like he was this guy, this huge like star in the United Kingdom, like a long time ago, and he had like this show that ran forever. But he would like I think the show was called like Jim will fix it.
Something like that, yeah.
Like it was kind of like a charity thing, but he was always around kids and adults. And like in 2012, there was like these huge like allegations that came out that he like sexually abused like everybody, adults, kids, everything. But he always had like the same like jumpsuits, just like the Jimmys. So I think that's where the inspiration came from, and like the evil part of like what's gonna happen in the second one. So yeah, there's just like so many deep cuts in this movie that are like awesome. But it's kind of hard because we're Americans, and a lot of the references are about like the UK because that's where Danny Boyle's from. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think we didn't understand the reference, or at least I didn't. But yeah, so I guess I like that you brought up the point about the elk running, because I feel like that goes into our next topic, which is like the direction and the cinematography. Because that was really cool how they kind of compared his nightmare of like, I don't remember, it was like the building was crumbling or something, and then the elk were running. I don't know if it was the same thing happening or if it was like part of his dreams. But I really like the way that played out.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think that he was like it was happening. That's why the building, like, because there's so many deer, like, and if you have like a stampede that large, it's going to create like a small earthquake, and then nobody is there to like manage all these buildings anymore. So they're going to start to fall apart.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the cinematography was good. I remember you had said that they used a digital camera in the first movie, which made it have like that grainy, like found footage feel. And then this one, did you see that they used iPhones to record some of these? That is crazy.
Yeah, well, the whole thing was shot on iPhones.
Oh, it was?
Like, yeah, that was the whole purpose.
I thought it was like only like some parts, but that was the whole thing.
Yeah, the like in the original one, Danny Boyle, what he wanted to do was give that not a kind of like found footage feel, but not really. He wanted to, it was more like, it's supposed to be like what you would see on the news at the time. Like when, a photographer from a news station would go out, they'd take out that type of camera, and he wanted to have that aesthetic to the film. But, those cameras are also modified to have better lenses and stuff, just like the iPhones. But like the XO1, the Canon XO1 they used in the first film, that wasn't even in HD yet. HD hadn't come out yet. So it was like, standard definition, and that's why it's so like grainy, because you're going to blow up like a tiny image. Right. But with the iPhone is really cool too, but the iPhone has vastly better quality than the first camera. So like it looks on par with like a film that you would see, but they modified it to put like a $9,000 lens on it, which is kind of cheating. Like, I thought they were going to shoot the whole thing without any lenses, but they modified it, and it looked beautiful. Like they shot it on anamorphic, and like it gave a lot of like flexibility to do a bunch of like little things here and there, and just to move quickly. But the thing I really loved was that they built a bullet time rig for some of the scenes. And it was the shots you would see when the zombies would get hit, and like the camera would spin around the other side. So that's the bullet time effect, and it was made popular by The Matrix in 1999. But I hadn't seen that effect in so long. But the rig was crazy because they just had like a board, and then they just put a bunch of iPhones on it, and they're recording at the same time. So when you're editing, you can move between those shots. So that's how that works. But I thought that was sick.
No, I loved those scenes. Those scenes were really cool when like they're shooting the arrows and like the whole chase scenes. Yeah. They were really cool. I'm just happy we didn't get a zombie dong bullet time shot, because that would have been too much for me. Those guys. You could put it on like the behind the scenes or like cut scenes or something, because there's some people out there that want to see that. I wouldn't have been able to say. It was crazy. I was like, what's happening here? But yeah, there were some really cool cinematography scenes, but I guess the one that really stuck out to me, I don't know if this is considered cinematography, but I like the part where they were kind of like they were resting. It was him and his mother were kind of like resting in this building, and the bottom dweller, or like the the one that's bottom dweller crawling. Yeah. It was like crawling in, and the camera angles were kind of like all over the place, so you couldn't really tell like how close it was and how far it was, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's coming, but I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know like where it's at. So that part really created a lot of anxiety for me. Yeah, he was kind of like building a lot of tension, kind of like just kind of putting like the bottom dweller like in different angles, and and when they shot it was probably pretty quickly, but when you would jump to different like shots, it's probably the same shot, but it just prolongs it and makes like that anxiety build up. But yeah, I thought that was a fantastic scene too. And you see a lot of Dutch angles too, which I love. And you see them like throughout all of Danny Boyle's stuff, and Dutch angles when you kind of tilt the camera and it looks kind of like off and stuff like that, and it's kind of slanted, and it kind of creates that like unsettled feeling. And he uses it so much they call him Danny Dutch. Yeah, I did not know that's what that meant. So it's just like a little treckle angle. Yeah, it's really popular in horror and stuff like that, but I love using it. We've used it in Mandy Spooks' Haunted Line. Oh. Well, now I'll probably notice them now that you've explained it to me. There you go.
Yeah, on the close-up of the phone when it rings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a minute here and consider it like a sponsored ad break, because I love hearing Mr. Spooks in his element. And I just want to say that if you guys can already tell how much passion Mr. Spooks brings to filmmaking and his expertise, just imagine what he can do for our short film behind the scenes. So if you needed any more convincing to support us on Patreon, this is why, because filmmaking is his passion. Like, he is the driver. He has created Mandy Spooks. So you know that you're going to get something really good out of us because of him.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
I felt like I was like taking up too much time. I was like, I need to let Mandy Spooks jump in here too.
It was a nice little ad break.
No, I honestly just don't have much to add. Like I said, what you guys mentioned on the anxiety building scene with the kid and his mom, that's how I felt when they were running across the ocean to try to get away from the alphas
Oh my
or
God.
the alpha guy
That was
when it
so
first
good.
happened, because I kept feeling like I can't tell how close he is. So that was probably one of my favorite scenes because the ocean just looked so pretty the way they shot it too. But it was just that same feeling. I can't remember what other film we had talked about where it's like, I need you to show it just like 1 second longer so I can make out what it is. But yeah, that's honestly the only other part that sticks out to me.
Oh yeah, I love that scene. That was like my favorite scene out of the whole movie. It was just like so beautifully executed, and my heart was like pounding hard. But like one other thing that I really loved that I don't know if people noticed, but like you could see like the stars and stuff in that scene. Do you remember? Like you could see like all the Milky Way and stuff like that.
Yes.
But like if you really think about it, like the whole island is in quarantine, so you're not going to get a lot of light pollution. So if you were in that situation, you would see the sky like that and it'd be beautiful, but also terrifying, you know? So I really love that scene for multiple reasons, but that the alpha just running them down was like crazy.
Yeah, I love that scene too. It definitely gave me a lot of anxiety also. Because you're just like, are they going to make it? This movie is crazy, so I don't know if they're going to like take them out now or if they're actually going to make it to the end. So yeah, I agree. It was a really intense scene. Which I guess will lead us to our next topic, which is the writing and the pacing. I thought the writing was really good, but for me, I feel like I wish they explored some things a little bit more. So I hope they do that in the future movies. For me, I like that they referenced or created different species of infected because it's 28 years later. So obviously they're going to adapt to their surroundings. And I just wanted to know more about them. Like, how do they turn into like these like bottom dwellers that just roll around the floor, and how the others like evolve into like super fast runners. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to see more of that, I guess.
I think this is probably the part I have the most to say about. I feel like the pacing of the movie was kind of off because there was a lot of setup to get to the main story was Spike and taking his mom. Like, he is the one going on a journey. And I felt like once you actually got to him, his story was rushed. And then it just left you with a lot of questions. And I think that that's intentional because I thought there was only one more movie coming out, but apparently there's 2 coming out still. And I get that maybe they're going to use the other 2 to answer a lot of our questions. But I feel like if this was written well, it should have stood alone by itself. Like, it should still be a complete masterpiece on its own. Like, each movie should tell its own story and provide like its own, I guess, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it should have its own place and have its own context is I guess what I was trying to say. And it resonated with me. It made me cry so hard. But it almost kind of like didn't let me feel enough in the part that I did cry. Like, I've talked a lot about like comedic relief and learning that in the screenwriting process through all these movies. But this one almost was like, that was such a heavy, really good scene. And then it kind of just was like, oh, and then here's a skull, and then let's move on. And then there's these crazy elves. And I was just like, what the heck just happened? Like, I was so in this story, and then I was just like completely taken away from it and left with like, what the heck just happened? And who are these randos? So I think that's why it didn't land for me, because there were a lot of questions left. I was like, I don't know what just happened. And I know there's more to come, but I just feel like if it had been done properly, it should have still left you feeling like, okay, there was a conclusion to this, but then there's more to come.
I think I have to disagree with Mandy Spooks. I loved how they set up like the rest of the movies, because you don't really see that anymore in films. Like, you used to see it all the time, like with Star Wars or Back to the Future. But like, you know, nowadays you'll see like a conclusion like in a Marvel film, and then they'll throw in like end credit scene. And this, you don't need an end credit scene because it's like a cliffhanger. It's like, who are these people? And now we're talking about that. Everybody's talking about it. And I just love that because that's kind of like old school, like setting up like a trilogy. And I just loved how they did that. And there was clues about the Jimmies the whole time. Like they had written stuff on the wall. They carved their name in that one guy that the first kill that Spike had to like deal with. So like I think it's kind of like it might be a cultural thing as far as like all these things that we missed. And I did miss a lot of things too, but I think it was more like an American thing. I think we would have gotten more of the references. And I think that's why there's so many questions that like people have. Excuse me. But you know, I just love the writing. I think, I love Alex Garland. He recently directed, Civil War. The one that came out from A24, and that's like its own road trip movie, but there was like a lot of parallels between the two. But you know, I think, you know, I love Alex Garland, his stuff. I love all of his writing because he kind of delves into a lot of like history, as far as like, you know, you saw like the archers like in the film, and like the boots poem from Rudyard Kipling, you know, that's from World War II. So, and he also delves into a lot of like geopolitics, you know, like the infection is so hard to deal with that they're just going to quarantine the whole island and just let people kind of, you know, fend for themselves. That's where we get like that one random soldier that is part of the group for a little bit, because he's on patrol. Like they're, you know, trying to keep anybody from getting out of that island. And I thought that was just so cool because there's like tons of like backstory that Alex Garland puts in there. And also just like understanding like the human condition and stuff. You know, when Spike kills his first zombie and they, you know, escape from the alpha, like they celebrate him and stuff, and they're like telling war stories. And it's easy to do that when like, you know, it's almost kind of like an adventure. But when it comes to dealing with like something like cancer that's slowly destroying his mother, like that's hard to actually deal with. And you could tell that they're kind of like trying to like ignore it. Like there's nothing they can do. And the father is just kind of like, doesn't really want to deal with it. And is like hooking up with other chicks.
Yeah. Checked out.
And when you're watching the movie, there's like dead flowers in there. And they're trying to keep the smell from like spreading because the mom is just kind of deteriorating. So, you know, there's just so much in that story that I just loved. And I'm already ready to like, you know, go back and watch it again. And also like, there's also like a ton of callbacks too. Like, do you like the ruins when they're like sleeping in the ruins and like there's the zombie that's about to attack Spike? It reminds me of the first movie where they make it to these other ruins and they're sleeping on the ground and stuff. You know, that was like a callback. You know, not traveling at night. I think, what was Selena? What's her name from the first one? Celine. She was telling, don't travel at night. You can't because they can see better at night. You know, that's why they didn't travel at night. And like, they were in that house that kind of shook. But one of the really cool callbacks that I loved was when Spike was drugged, just like how Hannah was drugged in the first one. So she she didn't have to deal with like, you know, having to have sex with someone that's basically going to rape her. But then, you know, the mom protected Spike, not having to watch his mom get, you know, or have his mom, you know, commit suicide or, you know, be euthanized. So there was just like so many parallels and stuff. And it feels like a totally different movie. Like it doesn't fit with 28 Days Later, but it does. And it's just like awesome.
Wow, I did not pick up on that, but now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, that is very similar.
Yeah.
They're following like the not the script, but like the play-by-play, I guess you can say, but it's just a little different.
And there was a little one too, like I remember Spike had like a bag of like apples in his backpack, and like and then I think Jim like eats apples in the first one. So yeah, there's just so many parallels, and I love everything that Alex Garland does too. He's awesome.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you and disagree with both of you. Because I feel the same way that Mandy does, because I did want to sit in my feelings a little bit more. Like I wanted to cry a little bit more, and it kind of like took me out, and I'm like, wait, I wasn't done being sad. But then, yeah, I agree with a lot of the points that Mr. Spooks makes. I'm like, yeah, it was just a really good movie. Like I really did actually enjoy it.
Well, I was laughing like at the end of the movie, and I think Mandy was like texting you, and I was like laughing because it was so fun. But then I started crying too because there was just so many emotions. Oh, it was a peak cinema for me.
I'm gonna add one last thing, and it's so funny. I'm actually gonna say that all of your points made me hate the ending even more, Rudy. Because yes, like you said, that entire journey with Spike and the mom were so good. Like you said, everything that it like called back to, like mirroring the first one, and we're going on this journey because of the mom, and like we also have this mystery of the doctor, and it feels like that is such a prominent part of the setup. And then when you meet the doctor to when the mom dies, goes by so fast. And I loved the doctor. Like I probably loved him just as much or a little bit less than Jim from 28 Days Later, and I loved Jim. We know this.
Wow.
So I just feel like I wanted more of that entire Act 2. Like Act 2 just happened so quick.
Yeah.
Or it was like Act 2 into Act 3 just like went like poof. Yeah. And like we spent so much time investing into this part of the film and like the entire part of like Memento Mori and why the doctor was doing that. And then it was just like ripped away. And I don't know, I just feel like, I'm sorry, I said what I said and I'm gonna die on this hill. I don't think that the ending gives respect to the entire point of the movie. At this point, I could change my mind when I see the next one.
And I think that's how it needs to be viewed. Like, I think it's like one, because they already shot the second movie, because they shot it while they were shooting the first one. Like, it's supposed to be one massive piece. So it's probably going to make more sense once you watch it. But I understand where you're coming from. But it kind of reminds me of The Empire Strikes Back. Like, they end it with like this cliffhanger where they're like, are we going to be able to, like, you know, survive this? And then it goes into Return of the Jedi. So it's just kind of like, it is weird, like an abrupt, just like weird
It's
ending.
not the abruptness, though. It's not the cliffhanger that bothers me. It's that we went from such a heavy, emotional, entire journey, and then it's just like ripped away, and like this, like it almost felt like comedic what happened at the end. So for me, it's just like it kind of like it didn't give respect to what happened. It's not the abruptness that it ends and I'm left with questions. Okay. It's just like the entire shift. It's like, okay, the mom died and then now chaos ensues. Like, I don't know. It was just weird.
Well, you have to think about it like you're living in 28 Days Later. Like, it's going to be like that. Like, it's going to be like you don't get to like mourn and stuff. It's just like one thing after the other is going to happen. But I thought that the doctor giving the skull to him and he placing it on top of the bone temple was beautiful. Like, it was like, you know, I thought it was like, it was sad. And it was just like I think that's what makes us human, is like when somebody that you love passes away, or any human passes away, you honor them somehow. And that's kind of like different than what animals do. And I just thought that was like a different way of like having a funeral, or, you know, a wake and stuff. And there's not a lot of time to waste, and he needs to get that baby to safety. That's the other thing too. And I just think I understand like why, you know, you might not like that whole piece was not drawn out more, but I also understand like when you're in some type of war, you need to, like, it's quick and you need to, you know, survive.
Yeah.
Touche. I still don't like it though.
Fair points. But I think that kind of leads into our next topic, which is the casting and characters. I liked all the main characters. I think a lot of people kind of like hated the dad, but I think they all did a good job of portraying what their character is supposed to be. And I think we all can relate to Spike in different ways, at least for me. I think he learned a little bit from everybody also. So even though his dad wasn't the best person. He really was just trying to prepare him for the real world, you know, because out in the mainland, you're out there by yourself. No one's going to come save you. You have to know how to protect yourself. And his mother showed him the kindness and love. And I feel like Dr. Kelson gave him a little glimpse into the real world with some logic and theories. Mm-hmm. So I think he helped kind of catapult Spike to want to go out and experience the world and meet different people and find out who he is instead of, you know, doing what his parents want him to do or how to feel about certain things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, you know, I think after Spike saw his father not deal with his mother's cancer and like him cheating on his mom, like he has no mom and he kind of feels betrayed by his father and he doesn't want to be a man like his father. But he also needs to figure out what that is. And that's why I think he leaves the house and just tries to go figure out like who he is. And I think he wants to, you know, return, you know, a man that his mom would be proud of. And that's why he goes to make sure the baby's safe. And he's going to go out there and try to explore and try to just understand things. And I think that at some point, you know, I think we're going to see the doctor again. And I think that when Jim finally arrives, I think he's going to be another guide. I think he's going to be Viggo Mortensen's character from Lord of the Rings. I think he's that character. He's like the hero. He's going to be like the opposite of he's going to be another father figure for this kid. And I just thought it was like, I think it's really cool. And one of the things that I also liked was like the mythology with the doctor's character, because they kind of set him up like almost like the Wizard of Oz or like Shrek. Like everybody's afraid of Shrek and they think like he's like an evil ogre that's going to kill you. And like the father sets that up. He's like, oh, I went into the woods one time and I saw this guy lining up all the bodies and stuff. And then Spike realizes he's not evil. He's just like trying to do the best he can and, you know, continue being a doctor, but also like give, you know, have a memorial for all the people that, you know, the world has lost. And it was just really cool seeing where like, oh, he's not an evil person. He's just like, yeah, I don't know. Like everybody has those stories where like, oh, don't go in that house. It's like haunted or or remember the shoveling guy from Home Alone? Oh, yeah. How they set him up as like this killer and then he was just like some old guy that was really nice and stuff. That's how like that played out. And I love that about the story. I think that's it. Sorry.
It's okay. No, that's cool. I think it's interesting hearing both of you talk about all of the characters. For me, the mom really destroyed me completely, right. Which is obvious why I'm so upset about like how we didn't get to really process that. But I actually felt that her character was so strong. Because this whole time you think that she's unaware of what's happening. And then when it finally gets to the doctor, like diagnosing her, she is like so aware. And you don't realize, like, at least I didn't realize how much pain she had been in this entire time. And that she was basically keeping it together for her son. Yeah. So this really reminded me of how Rabbit had sent me a TikTok of Danny Boyle being interviewed. And he had talked about how... You're the one who sent it, right, Rabbit?
Maybe. I did send you something about the girlies. Like,
yeah. So he had talked about how he wanted to have Celine on the cover or like the posters for 28 Days Later. And basically they were like, it's not the market. Like women don't watch horror. And now in 2025, 40% of horror viewers are women. And I'm just like, this is why we need to make our horror for females, but also like he showed so much like women storytelling in this film that I feel like just goes overlooked. But like the way the mom handles like helping the zombie have the baby. Yeah. Like she is so sick. She's barely keeping it together for herself, but she understands how much pain goes into giving birth. Right. That she sees past that it's this like evil zombie that could kill her and tries to help her and is with her in her last moments. And then she keeps it together still until they get to the doctor. And it's just like incredible to me to see like how well he makes sure that women are represented properly in films, because he did that also with 28 Days Later. So I think that's why I love the movie. Like, I love the story so much, but that's why I'm also upset about it, because for me, I just didn't get like what I wanted out of it. But I felt very passionately about the way women were portrayed in this movie.
And I think that women are going to play a pretty big role in this film. I think the baby is the key to like either stopping the virus from spreading or something that's going to happen, because, there's a lot of questions like, did the zombies have sex? Did this woman like become a zombie and then, had the baby? I think it's going to be very important to the film as far as like it being like a huge component about how to deal with this rage virus. Cause like, I think that's amazing that like, the woman's body, like she's full of the rage virus, but the baby has its own circulatory system that's blocked from all that stuff. So it's just like amazing that they were able to kind of show like how like amazing the woman's body is as far as like protecting life. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. One thing I did want to kind of bring up too is the scene where she helps birth the baby. It's kind of weird to see like the parallels, because they're both kind of infected, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like they're both eventually or not eventually gonna die, because we're all gonna die, but they're both sick. And
right.
But at that moment they like connected, and they're like,
yeah, I
need you need me. Like, help me get through this moment. And I really thought that scene was really powerful.
Yeah.
She was a girl's girl. But I guess another thing is, the baby. I also think the baby's going to play into the future. I feel like the baby is going to be what is going to be the cure. Like, what is it? The T virus in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, Dr. Kelson said, "Oh, the placenta is amazing," or "the placenta is amazing," because it probably blocked all the virus from infecting the baby,
mm-hmm.
and probably gave the baby, what's the word?
The antivirus.
Yeah, like like when you antibodies. There you go.
Antibodies.
Like gave it the antibodies to not get
mm-hmm.
infected. So I feel like the baby might be coming in to play in the future. That's my guess. Because what's the other point of introducing a baby?
True. And there's like another part too that a lot of people don't really realize. But in the second movie, 28 Weeks Later, there is a woman that is, I think at the beginning of 28 Weeks Later, this guy abandons his wife, basically, when the zombies start attacking like this house. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she is alive and she is like sent to quarantine, but she was bitten, but she doesn't have any of the symptoms of the virus, but she's she's also able to spread the virus, which she does when she kisses her husband, and he becomes patient zero again. So like there's some type of correlation between the woman's body and how it's dealing with this virus, and I think that's going to play out in the other two movies.
Dang, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a crazy scene.
That was a crazy scene.
Abandons her. What a jerk.
Yeah, I was like.
So I guess we'll get into our next topic, which is the kills and the scares. I don't think this movie was scary, I guess you can say, but it was a horror movie. It had like those scary qualities, but I wouldn't say it was like a scary movie, I guess you can say. But I guess the kills and scares for me were the infected. I really liked the dwellers having that rough skin. Like they really thought about like, okay, what if an infected would be on the ground? What would they look like? So they'd be like a little heavier. They'd have more like callous skin.
Right.
So I really thought they like really thought out the different zombies, and like the faster zombies or the faster infected were more skinny because they're probably running all the freaking time.
Right.
So yeah, and also the runners, they terrify me. Like I'd probably die to a runner because I have a bad knee. So I'd be running on like some cobblestone rocks or pebbles or something, and my knee would dislocate, and I'd probably just die.
I'd probably like try to get like on a bike and be like, I don't know how to ride a bike, and then just die.
The wheels fall off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even try. I'd be like, just take me. I'm done.
Well, I thought it was terrifying, the movie. Like the alpha scared the shit out of me. I don't know if you noticed this, but anytime the alphas like rip somebody's head off, they inserted like this sound that kind of sounded like, I don't know how to explain it, kind of like almost like a xylophone. It's like brrring. I don't know if you noticed it, but anytime anybody got their head ripped off, they played that sound, and it made it much more like gut wrenching to hear the head getting ripped off with that sound. And they played it when the alpha was gonna rip off the doctor's head, like right before, and then that's when Spike stabs him with one of the syringes or darts, and like that, it just messed me up. Like those sounds just messed me up. But yeah, the alphas were just so terrifying because they're just like, they don't look like monsters. They look like real people. And it's just like, there are people that gigantic, and it's just like, how do you, like, you can't stop a person like that anyway. I mean, you could try to reason with them, but then you have the virus. You can't reason with someone with the virus. So I thought that was fucking crazy. I don't know. We can't cuss on this, but it was crazy.
We can cuss here. It's horror. So.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I thought that was like, it was awesome. You know, like the bullet time effect when the zombies would get shot. I thought that was like really cool. There was like tons of gore that was done really well. It was really cool. I loved it.
Yeah. I guess one thing that we didn't talk about that was kind of scary was, I don't know if you remember the scenes where it would kind of show the infected, but there would be like a red tint.
Oh,
it would
yeah.
be like a night vision, but red tint. That was pretty scary. If I saw that, I'd cry.
Well, when they talked about it in the first movie, they said like, don't travel at night. And that's kind of like, you saw the zombie vision, and that's why you don't travel at night, because they have that night vision. I have a theory on that. I think that the reason why they hunt at night is because I think their pupils are constantly dilated. So when that happens, you're getting a lot of light and stuff. But I think it's red because when you have the infection, there's like a lot of blood in your eyes. Yeah. So I think that red tint was the blood. But yeah, I thought that was like scary too.
That makes a lot of sense. I did not think, that's the infected vision. That's how they see. I just thought it was like scary scenes. But that makes a lot of sense that that's what they see at night, or that's how they see you. That's crazy. Yeah.
But Mandy Spooks wasn't scared of anything.
Not really. No, there was one scene. The freaking rats got me a second time.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we get into our next topic, which is practical effects and CGI. I don't think we can, I think we've already touched on it, but we cannot skip about talking about the big ding dongs.
Oh yeah.
The alpha dongs.
Yeah, it's been like a meme all over the internet. And my brother sent me an article, kind of joking around like, like they weren't real ding dongs, like it was prosthetic. And I was like, well, obviously it was. Like, there's no way that we're going to have something that big and just have it out for everybody
hanging out.
So yeah, that was a pretty cool prosthetic, which kind of reminded me of Nosferatu too, because it wasn't there like a
right.
They also use a prosthetic, so that was cool.
I think one of them. I think the actor from Nosferatu or somebody on the crew gifted the director the prosthetic penis, like framed, and I thought that was crazy. But yeah, the giant dongs, they added to my fear of the alphas. It's just like, I think I saw an interview with Danny Boyle, and I think he kind of explained it, that there was some infected that had a lot of, it increased the amount of testosterone going through the alpha's body. So that's why the penis kept growing. And then also they were like really hairy and stuff. So that's why they're so big and jacked, because they're pretty much on steroids, which I thought was a really cool, like, backstory to like why these guys are so big. And I guess like they were like smarter. So you're going to have more blood flow into the brain. So they're able to like have, I guess, what is it called? When you're, damn, what is it called? I lost my train of thought. I guess reasoning skills.
Okay.
So that's why they're kind of like the leaders of all like the other like zombies.
Yeah, I guess like they're the most violent or I don't know.
Yeah. Cause they're like,
that makes sense.
they're like the generals of all the other ones. Cause that you could tell that they were always following them.
Yeah.
Did you also notice this little detail? You could tell where the zombies are moving based on the crows above.
Yes, I noticed that.
I thought that was a really cool detail because the crows know that where the zombie's going to go, they're going to kill somebody and they're going to have a chance to eat. So I thought that was really cool.
Part. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think they
actually
feed-
thought. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you think they feed on the infected or they only? I don't know. That's kind of like what I thought. I was like, oh, they're following them because that's their food.
The thing like I was confused about, and like I hadn't seen the infected eat anything until this movie because like one of them ate like Spike's fish and one of them was eating a worm, but you never saw the infected eat a human. So I don't know if that's like a choice to kind of differentiate it from being a zombie and an infected, but you never saw like an infected actually eat anything but like the deer or the worm or the fish. So I don't know. I'm waiting because you see them. I think that they identify humans as hosts or not host. Is it a host? Yeah, host. So because they're the parasite and they like latch onto it, and the only like they can't infect something that's already dead. They have to infect something that's alive, and I think that's why they don't eat their victims. They just like infect them.
Interesting.
So much to see in the next few films.
I know.
The next is themes and symbolisms. I feel like there was just so much in this movie, so I just wrote down different things. So I really felt it was like losing your innocence, which I feel like that was kind of like the beginning of the movie, starting with Teletubbies, and then boom, you turn into a raging infected person. And then realizing the world is so much more than your bubble, like so much more than that secluded island, that there's so much more out there in the world. Wanting to create your own purpose and take life in your own hands. And I don't know, I was getting so many things from this movie.
This is probably the one I have the most to say about, and I'll be very personal about it. So I really think the theme was Memento Mori, of course. But crazy thing, like 2 or 3 days before I saw the movie, I went to Meow Wolf in Denver, and there was like this cool light that said Memento Mori on it. And I just knew, I was like, I need a picture with this. And I had no idea what it meant. I was like, I'm going to take the picture and I'll look it up later. Forgot. And then it came up in the movie and I was like, what? Like, that is such a weird coincidence. And then hearing what it meant was just like, with everything going on in my life, I think that really added to like how emotional I was during this like whole section of the movie. Because I've been dealing with a lot of like, I have so much anxiety. So much, like compared to like when Mr. Spooks met me to now, like we joke about how like he's the one who's not afraid of dying now, and now I'm the one who's afraid of dying. Like with my health issues arising and everything, I have been so like I get mental anxiety about like shootings or just like going out with how this country is now. And then also my health, I'm always like, oh my God, like I'm not gonna be able to fix my health, or we're gonna get a car accident. Like I have serious anxiety. And all of this like was like a culminating moment for me to realize like life really is short. So I better freaking just live it to the fullest and like take care of myself. And it just felt like that final like catalyst in my life to say like stop being afraid and just live. So for me, that's what this movie meant. Like literally I walked out of the theater telling myself like I am going to get a tattoo that says Memento Mori. And I think that's why it bums me out so much that I didn't like the ending, because like it meant so much to me that I want a tattoo because of this movie. But it resonated with me at like a whole other level. Like I was bawling my eyes out in the theater by the time the mom died. Like starting from like the Memento Mori scene to like the mom dying was like this emotional experience that I did not anticipate going into a zombie movie.
Yeah, I think that, I love kind of like coming of age stories. And this was just kind of like a different take on it. I thought it was pretty amazing. I have to disagree with Manny Spooks. I thought the ending was amazing. Like, it was just like, because it was really heavy, like the whole scene with the mom and stuff. And I was still kind of affected by it, but then it just like flipped and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And, these guys just like come out of nowhere and it's just like, wow, what's going to happen next in the next movie? But, I think that, I love like disaster movies because at some point once the dust settles, everybody has to kind of like continue on and like rebuild and stuff. And we kind of live in like shitty times right now. And sometimes it's kind of frustrating and it kind of like it's, it gets you angry and stuff like that. And sometimes I feel, the sentiments, like I've felt it from other people too, just like a reset. Like I was kidding, or I was making a joke like, oh, that asteroid that was supposed to hit Earth is not going to hit us anymore. And everybody that I talked to was like, oh, that's a bummer. Because I think that everybody kind of needs like a restart. And that's why I loved the beginning of the movie. Is just like their only thing is to survive. And it's just that simple. You don't have to deal with the other shit that's out there. Like, I think that I sound like an old man, but just like simpler times, just like, surviving and enjoying the life you have are just like, is so appealing to me about like disaster movies like 28 Days Later or 28 Years Later. And it's just kind of, gives me hope to just kind of let go of all the really superficial things and all the dumb things that are not really important, and just kind of like restart your own way of thinking and just kind of latch on to things that are important, like Mandy Spooks' content and like my family and just like being a good husband. Like those are the things that are important. And when you can kind of get past all that stuff, like it makes your life a lot easier. But yeah, that's how I felt. Like I thought it was a great film. It's one of those movies that makes me like excited to make movies. Like this past summer was great for like horror films. Like I loved Sinners, and it also made me feel like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to make movies and kind of make people escape for a little bit, like they're, all the shit that they're dealing with, and then just enjoy something and just be like transported to a different world and just like, not have like, let me drive for a little bit and like take you on a journey. I love like movies like that. And I felt like I went on a journey. And I just love, I'm ready to see it again. And I think I know what I'm going to be for Halloween. Do you know what I'm going to be for Halloween?
No.
Rabbit. Do you know what I'm going to be, Rabbit?
Spike?
No, I'm going to be a Jimmy. I'm going to be one of the Jimmies.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think I can pull off the Alpha costume because I'm not like big enough everywhere, but I think I could be a Jimmy.
I feel like that could be a really good group costume. If everybody
right?
just dresses in different colored tracksuits. I'm down for that. That's funny. Which I guess that kind of leads it. That was like kind of like your final wrap up. I guess for me, my final wrap up was, I agree. It was, wasn't a huge fan of the ending, but, or I didn't like the way it was presented, but I am very excited to see where this goes, because I like when they introduce or they explore like factions and clans in zombie movies. I don't know if you've ever seen Furiosa, the Mad Max movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
No. Well, they have very strange people and very strange clans. Like one example is like there's this man that wears like a full suit, except for his nipples. Like full suit, only has nipples out, and he like rubs them when he gets excited. It's very strange and very like weird, but I loved it. Like, oh, this is a really fun movie in Furiosa. So I'm hoping it kind of does the same thing in like future 28 whatever's later, where it's gonna take us to these weird factions, and I'm hoping that the Jimmies aren't the only weird ones out there, because I want to see more.
Yeah, I feel like I think it's going to be one of those things where the Jimmies kind of take Spike under their wing.
Yeah.
Kind of like the what is it? I think it's like the kids from Pinocchio, where they start to turn into donkeys and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like they're more about like, yeah, let's have fun and let's like cause chaos and like, you're with us. And then I think Jim is going to come along and be like, no, these guys are evil. And then Spike is going to be like, oh yeah, shit, they are evil. And then Jim is going to like take them. So it's going to be like this crazy journey with the Jimmies for a while. And then Jim's going to show up. But yeah, I love the idea of like all these different factions. I think that's a really cool idea.
Final thoughts. I mean, I think it's pretty clear where I stand. The only thing I feel like I didn't get to really mention was that I really loved the set design during the doctor scene. I thought it was really cool. And oddly enough, I feel like there is a lot of decor coming out this year for Halloween that really replicates the skulls. Like, it's like a skull tree almost. And I was like, dang, I want to recreate that for like Spookmas or something. But I was looking at videos on the live stream, and Cracker Barrel has like this bowl made of skulls that looks really similar, and I'm starting to see everywhere. So I'm like, it's really interesting how the timing aligned with this. And I've been obsessed with skeletons this year. And so I don't know, it's very morbid, but I feel like this movie really helped me heal my relationship with the fear of death, because I've never like dealt with that in my life before. And so like that alone is just like what makes this movie for me.
That's awesome. I don't have much to say because I kind of talked a bunch already. And everybody knows how I feel. Like, I thought it was a masterpiece and I loved it, but I wanted to bring up one little thing before we wrap this up. We saw, and I'm going back to the Jimmies because I love Jimmy. We saw Jimmy in another huge hit this year. Does anybody know what it was?
No.
I don't even remember what Jimmy looked like. That's how mad I am.
He was in Sinners.
Oh.
He was the main vampire.
He was Remick?
Uh-huh. That's him.
Oh, so that's so funny that you say that, because you want to be Jimmy for Halloween and I want to be Remick for Halloween.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So that was just my last piece. I wanted to throw that in there, but yeah, let's do it, man.
That's so funny. How weird. Yeah, I'm down.
All right. Well, it is officially time for It's Freaking Bats. So on a scale of 1 to 5 bats, I'm going to go with Mr. Spooks first, and then I'm going to go because I think Rabbit's going to be the tiebreaker or something. I don't know, or I'm going to be the odd one out. So, Mr. Spooks?
I'm going to go with 5 out of 5 rats.
That's really high, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, I hope that he continues because he doesn't do sequels. Danny Boyle doesn't do sequels, and he didn't want to do this one, but he did it, and I'm happy he did. But he made sure that it was very different from the first one, or different enough where it's just like. Yeah. Or he made it. I think he made a lot of changes to it because there was a lot of parallels, but it was like I thought it was very different from what they did with the first one.
All right, I am gonna go with 3 bats. I was thinking like, okay, after hearing everything, kind of like the way Rabbit has always gone, like, oh, you've like changed my mind. I'm like, okay, they're making really good points. It's gonna change my mind, but it still isn't enough to excite me, and I'm willing to change my review after the next film comes out. But for now, as much as it meant to me, I still feel like it's a 3.
Got it. Well, a 3 for me means that you still liked it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Like it's
anything
good.
under 3 is you
It
didn't
just
like. Anything 3 or above
had-
is good. So
Yeah.
that's fair too.
So, final answer, Rabbit. What's your rating?
So when I first left the movie, I was like, okay, this is 4.5. But then now, after having this conversation and just like thinking about it more, I think I've settled at a 4 out of 5 bats for me. Like, it was good. I really liked it, but there were just like little things like pacing and abruptness. But I understand why it was there. But I'm gonna stick with a 4 out of 5.
I wonder how it would have like fared out without Mr. Spooks on the call. Like if you would have leaned higher or like sided with me. I don't know. That's interesting. Interesting dynamic to have like 3 different levels.
I hope I didn't bully you into making it higher than it really was.
No. No, I kind of went into this conversation with the 4. So I kind of like stayed. It was like going up and down, but I think I got you with the 4.
All right, before we part ways for the week, let's have a little moment of Be Kind Rewind. We're all about the vibes here, so if this film hit just right, here are a few spooky picks you can rewind to match the mood, the madness, or the mayhem. What is your pick, Rabbit?
So I don't really know, or nothing came to mind where it was more infected, less zombie, more infected. So I just went with one of my favorite zombie movies, which is Train to Busan. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's a really, really good movie set in a train. But it has really cool scenes and it has a really good story. Like, it's not just crazy zombies running around, because it does have a lot of that, but it also has a really good story. And I don't want to spoil it because it's between a dad and his daughter. So they're like on a train going somewhere. And yeah, it's just a really good story. But it's Korean, so it is subtitles, but still watch it. It's really good. What about you?
I got nothing. Honestly, I can't think of anything that reminds me of this, so I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Spooks because I know he's going to have more than one.
Yeah, I did see Train to Busan. I thought it was pretty awesome. It kind of reminded me of the scene from World War Z in the plane, but like that's the whole movie. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I would recommend that one. There's like several films that kind of made me think or made me, see like parallels. But yes, I would try to check out Alex Garland's Civil War. It's kind of has that like feel that Rabbit was talking about like factions, and you see that play out in the movie. Lord of the Rings is one of them. Like even Shrek, that journey, or being afraid of something that isn't really like evil. Like those are kind of like what I kind of felt like. But also Children of Men is also another movie, especially because the story revolves around like a newborn baby too, and it has like it takes place in the United Kingdom. It's almost like the same movie but minus the zombies. So like those are kind of some of the films I would watch. And even Shaun of the Dead. Like it takes place in the United Kingdom, there's zombies, and there's like that goofiness that like it's like if the whole movie was about the Jimmies, like that whole goofiness about the whole thing. So like those are kind of some of the films that I would watch.
All right, Ghosters, we hope you had a bloody good time hanging out with us today. Megan 2.0 is popping into theaters this weekend, so we'll see you here next Monday with our freshly popped horror review.
And remember, keep horror alive and watch something spooky this weekend.
Until next time, sending you ghouls and kisses. Bye.
Bye.
Ha 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 ha.